game was sick. I don't care what anybody says. We didn't win. Yeah, that sucks. But that is a unbelievable baseball game, in my opinion. Back and forth all game. Pitching, hitting in both spots, certain spots. It was good in both areas.
We were dead last year. Like, after the series here, we were dead tired mentally, and we can't really afford that because we got games, right after. And so it's just one of those things where you got to get up for the rivalry, but understand that this is the middle of the season as well.
No, I haven't talked to him. I'm sure we'll chat a little bit, but there's a mutual respect. Like I said last year, it's gamesmanship. We're doing what we can to help our clubs win, but the love and respect, nothing's changed with that.
Today they're on the schedule, and here we are.
How about any unfinished business from how the season ended last year against this ball club?
There's unfinished business with everybody.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Marty Time TV. I am Marty Caswell. We are brought to you by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. I am so happy that Jake Garriani from CBS 8 is here because right now, you guys, as you guys know, I'm usually a disaster. I'm usually disorganized and there's stuff going on. Today, that times 1,000. I'm going on 3 weeks of construction, mold, banging in the background, and sleeping on my couch. I'm about to lose my damn mind. I played the wrong Open. I spent all this time cultivating a Jeremiah Estrada Open from yesterday, only to play Friday's Open. I'm done. Jake, the show is yours. How are you today?
There's beauty in grace, my friend. I wouldn't sweat it one bit. This is the beauty of television, of podcasting, of live anything. It is how it works. It's the reality of it. Do not stress it at all. I'm having a wonderful, wonderful Thursday. I appreciate you asking. Just got a little U.S. Open golf on and ready to take this show wherever you'd like to go, my friend.
Okay, there's a lot of places to go. I know you were in the post game yesterday, and I wanted to actually start with Jeremiah Estrada because I thought he had some really good, interesting things to say yesterday in post game, heartfelt. And I actually want to get into the social media conversation because he brought something up. And for those of you who are watching right now, I will play more of the Jeremiah Estrada a conversation yesterday in post game. He had a rare bad outing, and he shared some information about dealing with some personal issues and some off the field stuff. He wasn't using it as an excuse, but he wanted people to know that they are human beings, and sometimes that they're dealing with things that we just don't know about. For those of you guys who are watching right now on Marty Time TV, please let me know if there's any audio issues. As you guys know from my conversation last week with Keith Law and Dylan Hernandez, I had an overmodulated mic, so today I'm trying something different. But if we have issues, please let me know. All right, Jake, first and foremost, what's your biggest takeaway from Padres and Dodgers Part 1 after 3 games at Petco Park?
Disappointing. I mean, if I'm being straight up honest, it was a disappointing series, not because it was the Dodgers, though. I'd like to clarify. It was disappointing for a lot of other reasons, I think. I said this on CBS yesterday. I think there was just a lot of meat left on that bone in that series. It felt like the Padres probably should have won game 1. Your extra innings, you're at home. There were weird things. Manning had the bat, not excuses, but Manning had the bat taken out of his hand. Ball bounced off second in extra innings. That felt like a game, okay, probably should have had. And then yesterday, it was like bases loaded multiple times with your best hitters at the dish, Luis Ariz, Fernando Tatis Jr., Manny Machado, and you get 0 runs out of those situations with those guys up. The one run they got in with the bases loaded was handed to him with a walk to Martin Maldonado. So I think while a lot of people will look at it as a good series, which it was good baseball, for games 1 and 3, but it was disappointing if you're a Padre fan. It just felt like you should have won 2 of those games and maybe even 3 of them. They didn't. The Dodgers got the better part of them. Not to mention it's a team that's ahead of you in the standings. Not to mention it is a stretch of really grueling games where you felt like you were right there. And then on top of the hitting yesterday, I think the thing that I found most irritating was they were perfectly set up. Given what Dylan Cease had done in game 2, given the fact that the bullpen had all of its bullets to fire, it was set up to go win that game. And unfortunately, they just didn't execute, and we'll talk further about it. But, yeah, if you had to give me one word to describe that series, I'd be brutally honest. I'd say disappointing.
That's very eloquent. Mine's going to be, because I'm not quite sure it was. There's a lot of good things. And I actually think the most important thing the Padres got from that series was Dylan Cease looked like Dylan Cease. We've been waiting for this version. The players in that clubhouse afterwards, Gavin Sheets, Manny Machado. Well, I'll play you some of both from yesterday, but they both said, man, we need this guy. We need this guy. Now, if you're the Padres, here is the good news, guys, because we've been asking Mike Shildt for weeks, what's going on with Yu Darvish, what's going on with Michael King. It's more vague than ever on Michael King. I still have no idea what's going on, although he's saying it's a historical injury. I have no idea what that means. Are you telling me, like, in decades of baseball, no one's ever had an injury like Michael King? I saw a glimpse of Michael King for like 2.5 seconds in pregame yesterday. He was in the hallway, but we didn't talk to him. The less we see of Michael King and the more vagueness we get from Mike Shildt, the more concerned I am. And I know when I asked Michael King at the end of the last homestand, are you going to pitch again this season? He said, he laughed. He's like, "That's a clown question, bro." But man, like, I'm starting to wonder. The good news for you, Darvish, and Jake, I want you to address that whole Michael King thing too, was yesterday he had a suitcase. He's on that flight with the Padres. He is going to Arizona. He is going to throw a simulated game, which is good news because at least that takes him a step closer to a real return.
Yeah, I've been on radio out here, 97.3. I've been on your show multiple times. I've obviously been on CBS, and I have said over and over and over again, I am highly, highly concerned with the Michael King situation. The second it went from I slept on my arm wrong to straight to the IL, all the red flags in the world went up, and everything since then has been a red flag. I hope I am proven dead wrong, and hopefully he comes back no problem and all is smooth. But I have been highly concerned with this from the jump, honestly, once he was sent to the IL.
I completely agree with you. And it wasn't even him going from I slept on it wrong to the IL. To me, it's been like going on almost 3 weeks of not knowing what the injury is. A complete vague, no update on the injury. So,
and anytime your timeline is, oh, he might be out a week, to, oh, it might be to pass the All-Star break, another very big red flag.
I know. All right. Sorry. I'm not sure if I'm having any audio issues on my end. Okay. I want to take you inside the clubhouse. Do you have a little bit of time here, Jake? Here's a little bit from Jeremiah Estrada, and we'll go ahead and we're going to pause and comment on this because I thought he had some human things to say about just a bad inning that he's been great. The Padres bullpen has been, they are leaning upon them a lot. They've been taxed as of late, but Jeremiah Estrada has been very, very good for the Padres. This is Jeremiah Estrada in post game yesterday when we surrounded him with our bright lights.
It's huge. We've had a tough schedule. I don't know how many games we've had in a row. Time change, flight problems, whatever it is. But we got a bunch of warriors in here who are still out there doing what we can do. The game's not easy. If it was easy, then everybody would do it. All the people out there talking smack on social media, saying what they want. You're sitting there on your couch watching. It's hard what we do. But it's part of the game. It sucks to have this feeling. Especially with cameras in my face after it just happened today. But at the end of the day, it's I leave it all in God's hands. At the end of the day, stuff. I've also had some personal stuff outside of the field that's been happening in the past couple of days. After the first game, my uncle got in a car crash on the way back home after watching the game. So there's some things that some people don't know that some people go through. But at the end of the day, I have all my faith in my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And today was just a sluggish day. Some pitchers are going to go down the middle. Some pitchers are going to be left out of the zone. But come back the next time, and that's about it. Yeah. Okay. Just things happen. Some things that we're out of control of. Just things just happen. Move on, and everything's a good thing. God is great, and nothing crazy happened other than just injuries. But family safe. I feel happy that that's going on. But other than that, just shit happens.
Okay, so that's Gavin Sheets from yesterday, just talking about a bad outing, and he alluded to an uncle being in a car accident. I think was it the previous day, right, when he left Petco Park, and that was affected him. But this is what he had to say later when I asked him about facing the Dodgers. Let me get to the right part. Let me see if I think this
in the long run, but oh hell yeah, don't take shit lightly. You know, I mean, of course, today wasn't my best day. I didn't feel the very best, but then again, it's okay. You know, it's not everybody has their days, but we'll see how it is. You know, we'll see them next week again. I really don't care who I face at the plate. I ain't afraid of anybody. I'm gonna throw my best shit that I have and throw what I can. You know. But other than that, that's about it. You know, they had a good game today. They fought back. You know, they took advantage of some pitches that I left over the plate. And next time, gotta try to fix that. See how it goes.
Okay, so that's Jeremiah Estrada from yesterday, just talking about a rough day, personal issue, and dealing with those people who are critical on social media. And I put this out there. Whew, boy, the reaction on social media was quite something. I do realize that a lot of it was from Dodgers fans who are wondering what's going on with Jeremiah Estrada. Is he talking crap? What did you think of that entire exchange, Jake?
I thought it was something that I've brought up to you before, actually. In fact, I think a week ago when we talked about Fernando Tatis kind of beating down, where I mentioned I think people forget these guys are human. And it becomes very real when you get somebody that's willing to talk about it like Jeremiah. And people really get that recognition of, oh, yeah, this is a person going through some real stuff. And yes, maybe his performance on the field wasn't where he wanted it to be. Mm-hmm. And he's not using it as an excuse, as you mentioned, but it's just like, yeah, these people have lives too. And as somebody who personally and myself has had my life completely ruined by an accident before, it's like that shit gets very real on people. And so I think it's very important, you know, to remember that these people are human. And then if you add into the baseball perspective of it all, I love it when somebody just wears it. Yeah, look, I didn't throw my best today. I didn't pitch well. They took advantage of mistakes. I'm going to go get them next time. Now, I cleaned that up a little bit, but that was essentially what Jeremiah was saying. And it's like, I can respect the hell out of that. I can respect the hell out of somebody that's willing to wear it, that's willing to go back out there again and admit that, look, it wasn't my best day. And the people on social media isn't a real place. We all know that. Anyone that has experienced, you know, hate from it, and any of us that are in front of the camera or writers or deal with it, we realize it's not a real place, and you can't take that to heart. But it doesn't mean it doesn't weigh on you. I mean, it does, especially these guys that get it tenfold. So I always appreciate when an athlete is real, because people need to hear that. People don't understand that. People need to hear that kind of stuff.
I completely agree. And I know it hurt him, especially he mentioned that, you know, he's an LA boy and he's like, especially when you have that kind of inning against that team, but he's looking forward to his chance next week. He's the guy that wears that chip on his shoulder. And I thought about this yesterday after I posted the thing. I've gotten to a point now, like I do a lot of posting, you know, whether it's going to be here, Blue Sky, my favorite threads, or on Instagram, but I've almost gotten to a point now that I don't even tag the athlete anymore, because the vitriol that comes is something like when Bogarts was like last year, when he was being really, really candid about his struggles and how much it bothered him and it weighed on him, man. Just the the hate that came. It was like, I felt so bad to a point that I've stopped doing it on them for the most part, because it gets so negative. Now, speaking of negative, speaking of players who are having bad days or a bad month or a bad stretch, were you part of the scrum with Fernando Tatis Jr. yesterday when he spoke to reporters?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in there with you.
Say? Okay. I got there towards the very end, so I missed it. And one thing I can't believe I'm saying this about Tatis, who's a superstar. I've gotten to a point now where I don't even go up to ask, because I know it's going to be the same answer. The answers are getting shorter and shorter. He doesn't want to say there's nothing new, and he doesn't want to talk about it. What is your sense of what's happening with Tatis?
He's frustrated. He's struggling and he's frustrated. And I think it's completely understandable. I think people need to look at this in two ways. He is too nice of a person to say no to an interview. He almost always says yes, at least in my experience. Maybe you've had a few more, but he's too nice to say no. But he is beyond frustrated. And of course he is. Look at the numbers right now. I mean, the dude is struggling beyond belief. And, you know, he opened up a little bit about it, saying, look, this game's super hard and you want to provide, like, he cares, which is most important. And he cares so much that this weighs on him when he's struggling this bad. And I think his interviews are a direct result of him being incredibly frustrated that he's struggling. This dude loves nothing more than providing for the San Diego Padres. I mean, he lives for that stuff. And when he's not able to do so, it clearly weighs on him. And I think he just wants to get back to that baller that he is. I still have no doubt he'll get there. But, of course, it's been a brutal stretch for him.
I've been saying for a while, I have no doubt, but we're June 12th. This isn't a small sample size. This is concerning. And the thing I don't understand with the Padres, right? Because I listened to part of Dave Roberts' postgame yesterday, and he talked about moving Teoscar Hernandez when he was slumping in the lineup. AJ Cassaville asked Mike Schilt, I think on, I forgot what day, maybe it was Tuesday. Have you thought about, and I asked Schilt this the previous homestand, have you thought about moving Tatis down the lineup given the slumps, right? I mean, you can have Luis arise, you can move him back up the leadoff spot. He's been effective, right? And he said, yeah, maybe you do. Maybe we've thought about it. We've considered it, but we haven't done it yet because Fernando Tatis, which we know, can beat you in so many different ways, right? If he gets on base, he can steal a base. He can be a double. I'm wondering now, at what point do you not do it? Just take a little bit of pressure off Fernando Tatis Jr. Why would you? At this point, what are they waiting for?
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I think now may be the time to make the move. The thing about Mike, I'm not saying this is my stance. I think this is kind of how he believes, is that he is going to be loyal to a fault, and he is going to hang on to somebody in a position like that and make sure he shows his confidence in him until he literally cannot anymore. I mean, to the point where it's just beyond bearable. And I think Mike probably believes that any day now Fernando's going to pop. And this is kind of I feel like Fernando's had much better at-bats. I know the results are nowhere near, but I tend to be of the school of thought, let's put Luis at the top there, flip it. I think the Padres did a lot of damage with Luis at the top of the lineup a year ago, so it's not like you'd be making this huge detrimental shift to the lineup. I think it's something that could be a smaller move that could help a lot. But at the same time, I just think it's Mike's loyalty. I also don't know the conversations they have internally, which I believe they have to be having, speaking to Fernando. Hey, do you want to stay at the top of the lineup? And so I wish I could be a fly on the wall for those conversations, because I just have to imagine the two of them have spoken plenty about where he wants to be in the lineup, where he feels most comfortable. And I don't know if there's a little bit of pride getting in the way or not, but how much longer can you hang on? It's been a tough stretch.
I actually wonder at this point if Tatis would embrace that idea, just take a little bit of pressure off. If the Padres could give him another day off, I think they would. But one thing we're learning, they don't have depth. They don't have depth behind him, right? I mean, they don't. It's not Brandon Lockwood isn't going to be the answer. And speaking of Luis's, I'm so glad Luis Campusano, after all this conversation about where's Luis Campusano, which Schill was asked about on Friday, he finally got his at bat in the blowout game against Kike Hernandez, a position player. I'm actually wondering if that's going to be the final time we ever see Luis Campusano at the plate for the San Diego Padres, because one thing is abundantly clear: they're done with him. He doesn't have a future with this organization. It seems though he is only here until he is the bridge until Jason Hayward, who's going to be on a rehab assignment tomorrow, until he returns. And then Jason Hayward is only here until AJ Preller can find the next outfielder to replace him in left field.
Yeah, it's hard because the humanity of it stinks. This is a guy who's obviously worked his whole life to try and get here, and he's struggled beyond belief at this level, and clearly it's just not working in this situation. So the human part of me really feels for Luis Campusano and would love for him to succeed and be great, but it's not working.
Okay, Jake, before I let you go, when I texted you last night, I said, listen, I want you to go ahead and judge which of my questions to Manny Machado was more annoying. I don't have time to do two, so I'll go ahead and do one. I'm going to go to my question to Manny Machado from yesterday on Dave Roberts. Let me set that up, because on what day is it? On Monday, the LA media surrounded Dave Roberts, and they said, have you talked to Manny Machado yet since the incident in the playoffs with the accusation on him, throwing a baseball to the Dodgers dugout? This is what Dave Roberts had to go ahead and say.
No, I haven't talked to him. I'm sure we'll chat a little bit, but there's a mutual respect. Like I said last year, it's gamesmanship. We're doing what we can to help our clubs win, but the love and respect, nothing's changed with that.
Okay, so love and respect, nothing has changed at all, but he hasn't talked to him yet, which is interesting. So this is my awkward way of asking Manny Machado. Here we go.
Very first day of the series, Dave Roberts was asked if he's talked to you since the playoffs. He said no, but it's all love and respect. It's just gamesmanship. Is that just a story that's blown out of proportion?
What story?
Just what happened to you and Doc, the ball that got in the glass.
Are you still talking about that?
Well, Dave was asked about that on the first day. He was asking.
And you're still talking about it now. Yeah, so you are. So yeah, you're talking about it. We go out there and we play baseball. I mean, I think at the end of the day, what happened last year, they won the championship and they won it all, and that's what it is. So this year's we're going out there and trying to take them down. We've been trying to do it for a couple of years now, and we're going to continue to try to do it until we reach our goal.
Thank you.
Okay, so I didn't quite get my answer. My question was, have you talked to Dave Roberts? Yeah. Was it just gamesmanship? All right, Jake, I'm cringing watching back my own question. I actually wanted to ask him on Friday, but number one, we didn't see Manny Machado after the game, the way that game ended. I mean, he was gone like pretty much before Mike Schultz was done. Then we didn't see him on Saturday. So unfortunately, that was my only chance to ask Manny Machado that question. Was it a dumb question? You can say yes.
Well, no, it wasn't a dumb question because you didn't bring it up. The LA media brought it up.
Yeah, it's not my fault.
I just don't think you're ever going to get your answer. I think the reality of that situation is we know what it was. Roberts admitted to it being gamesmanship. Everyone in LA is going to say what a brilliant move, and everyone in San Diego is going to say that was complete bull. I mean, Dave got what he wanted out of it. He got the hit piece written and accomplished, and he got all the attention taken off of his players at the time, and it worked to perfection because the media fell right into his lap and ate right out of the palm of his hand, and it worked. And Manny will never admit that on camera, but I'm sure that's how he feels about the whole situation. I'm sure it's frustrating that once again he had to get painted as the villain.
Right.
But he's never gonna admit that to the media. But everything's laid out. People just have to do their own, 3 seconds of Google search to see that Roberts said, "Yeah, I did it on purpose," and that very respected writers amongst a lot of people wrote certain articles about it that took the attention where it needed to go. And I think that will, it's just a part of what this rivalry is, and it'll be a part of the legacy of it. But yeah, I don't think he'll ever get Manny to admit it, at least not in his playing days.
Never. You're exactly right. All right. And by the way, I saw the critical comments when I put this on there, like people like, man, why are you trying to antagonize Manny Machado? I actually antagonized him more the previous night when I asked about whether or not the Padres, if playing the Dodgers brings out the best in the Padres, and he didn't like that. I'm like, listen, you guys have scored, I don't know, like 18 runs in 2 days after having an inconsistent offense. So we'll see. We get along fine. Every once in a while I ask questions, and I wish I rephrased it better. But I wanted to ask that question, and hopefully when the Padres are in Los Angeles next week for part 2, somebody will get to the bottom of that conversation. Jake, are you going to be going?
You asked the questions that everybody wants to hear the answers to. So you just keep doing your thing, Marty. I always appreciate you. I will likely be up in LA for a few games. I actually have to check my schedule. I'm sure we'll end up there. I feel like I work in LA half the time. We're up there all the time. So I'm sure we'll be up there for some games. Are you going for the whole series?
No, I can't. No, I can't. These 7-10 games in Los Angeles, that's going to be a little bit difficult, but we'll see, man. Padres this series against the Diamondbacks it's huge, right? I think the D-backs are in a very interesting situation. Their ace is done, right? Corbin Burns, Tommy John. That to me changes the entire outlook of what the Diamondbacks are, and perhaps it'll become a 3-team race in the NL West. Padres, Dodgers, the San Francisco Giants, who are going absolutely nowhere. Very, very good. Very, very good pitching staff. So,
and let's talk about, Jake, how we mentioned real quick before you let me go. Let me add one more thing. We mentioned that June was going to be a huge barometer test, maybe a vision of what this team could be in the future. I know the Dodgers series was disappointing in my words, but so far June has been all right. So if they can continue this pace through June and you get into July, all right, they'll be all right.
Get through June. Hopefully you get Yu Darvish back sooner rather than later, and we'll see what AJ Preller can do before the deadline because, man, they need multiple outfielders, and they still need a catcher. They still need a catcher. I think Martin Maldonado had batted with the bases loaded like 3 different times this series and didn't deliver once. So we'll see.
Got an RBI out of it.
He did have an RBI. He did have one RBI on a double. No, wait, that wasn't a double play, right?
He got walked, which technically goes down as an RBI with the bases loaded. So
okay, and he hit a home run, so, and raised his average. All right, Jake, when's your next broadcast? When do you guys have the Padres next? on
We
CBS.
have 2 road games, a part of the Washington and the St. Louis series, and then they're not back at home until it's August. So like late August is when we're back for a home game. But we do have 2 of their road games, St. Louis and one in Washington. Those Saturday games against those.
Washington, and that's going to be a series. By the way, speaking of Washington, I saw something where Juan Soto homered off Mackenzie Gore, and they exchanged words. All I'm hoping that they were talking about was, I won the trade. The Nationals won the trade for Juan Soto, because you know what? They did. All those studs are up there right now delivering. Mackenzie Gore, Robert Hassel, James Wood, CJ Abrams. So I'm hoping that when they had that exchange, I'm just hoping that somehow AJ Preller's name was part of that.
I know you're trying to get me to leave, but now I have to add one more comment, and that is that.
Okay.
And that is
no, you can stay. You can stay.
That is that the Nationals, when all is said and done, hindsight 2020, will absolutely have won that trade. But I don't think it was a bad move at the time. I think when you look back at the situation where the Padres were, who they could acquire at the time, I still think AJ makes that move.
Yep.
Now, those guys are all studs, and they're going to be studs. So it's almost one of those situations where, like, yeah, in 10 years you look back on it, you go, oh, my God, how could this have happened? Well, think back to the moment, and I still think it was the right move in the moment. Again, everyone will rip me because they'll look at hindsight, but I don't think it was the worst move of all time.
In the moment, they were going for the World Series. They didn't make that trade to go ahead and talk about what the Padres are going to look like in 2027. That move was made because they had the roster to win the World. They had the roster to win the World Series, and that's what they were thinking. And I'll tell you this: all my years covering sports in San Diego, and I'm talking dating back to the days when we actually had the San Diego Chargers here, and they had playoff teams, all that stuff. The level of frenzy and excitement that San Diego was in when they traded for Juan Soto was through the roof, and it will never be topped. And in my opinion, it just set up the season ticket base and the expectation for this franchise for like 5 years. It was amazing.
It was 1,000% the right move at the time. So the people that are going to go back and go, how could it ever happen? Well, remember the moment. Remember the moment.
All right, Jake, I thank you. I asked for 10 minutes today. You've been here for 27 minutes. You have been outstanding. Anything else you want to go ahead and unload? Because I feel like you have unfinished business. Let's go. This is your forum.
Never shut up, do we? We just always keep on talking.
No, you guys do. It's awesome. All right, Jake.
It's been a fun season. I look forward to the next time I'm on with you, Marty. I appreciate you.
I'm looking forward to it. If you go to LA, it may have to be from Los Angeles. I'm not sure if I'll be there, but I appreciate you. Thank you for your time. For those of you sticking around, I'm going to go ahead and play a little bit of perspective from Gavin Sheets yesterday in the Padres postgame. I thought they had some interesting things to say about this division and also the pitching staff. All right, Jake, be well. Talk to you soon. All right, that was Jake Garriani from CBS Sports. You can follow him at Jake Garriani on Twitter, and I think he's on Blue Sky. We'll see. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I'm going to go to close today's show. I'm going to bring you a little bit from Gavin Sheets in the Padres post game yesterday, just talking about how his first sense of Padres and Dodgers rivalry. Of course, a little bit disappointing. It was disappointing. They lost 2 out of 3 at home, but it's about how they matched up. Here's Gavin Sheets from yesterday.
All hard-fought games. It's how the series is going to go. It's going to be back and forth every time we play, and the team that makes the last shot is going to be the one that wins. So, it's obviously frustrating to lose that series, but right back at it. We'll get the Arizona, and then we'll go right back to them.
Mike mentioned it was just really an opportunity. Who took advantage of opportunities?
Yeah.
Who didn't? How frustrating was it multiple times bases loaded not to take full advantage of those opportunities?
Yeah, I mean that's what wins those series. It's who makes the pitches, who gets the big hits, and today was them, and last night it was us, and the night before it was back and forth. So it's just a sign of a good series.
You guys are in quite the grind right now, about halfway through. How you guys feel just about the way you're navigating the kind of month-long stretch almost?
Yeah, I mean, we're playing good baseball. We're playing really good teams, and we're playing a really good brand of baseball right now. Obviously we're going to enjoy the off day tomorrow because this is 26 games in 27 days is a lot, and a lot of division opponents as well. So, I think we're playing a good brand of baseball right now and attacking every single day and going to enjoy the off day tomorrow and then get right back after with Arizona.
You mentioned division pretty stacked up with you guys, the Giants. Now you're facing Arizona. Do you consider that at all? Is that on your mind at all at this stage in the season?
I think you understand that division games are always tight. They're always just, the series are played hard, and I think you bring the best out of both sides of both teams. So, yeah, I think division games always bring the best out of both teams, no matter who you're playing. And obviously, a lot of them are on the road too. So, for us to be navigating the way we are, and Milwaukee as well. I know it's not division, but that's a really good baseball team as well. So, I think we just keep playing a good brand of baseball and see what happens.
Teams had to navigate some challenges when it comes to the rotation. How do you think you guys have navigated with the pitching style?
Yeah, our pitching's been fantastic. Every starter that's come up has done a phenomenal job and kept us in every single game. And obviously, our pitching's been fantastic. We're facing good arms, and our pitching's been doing a really good job keeping us in every game. So, credit to them. Just next man up mentality. Obviously, King's down, and so just to get these guys coming up and throwing the way they are, it's been huge.
Okay, that was very good perspective from Gavin Sheets, and he's right. The pitching has been better than we expected. Ryan Berger delivered, and Stephen Kolek has been very, very solid. And of course, he gets to start tomorrow in Arizona. Padres D-backs. It's a big series. I know a lot of energy spent on the Dodgers, man, but the D-backs are still a dangerous team despite the injuries they have on their pitching staff, including losing Corbin Burns for the season. All right, guys. Thank you for your time today. I appreciate the time with Jake Gariani. We're brought to you by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. As we go into this break or the end of the show, I'm going to play you some comments from Dodgers manager Dave Roberts, who was very complimentary of Padres outfielder Jackson Merrill. Have a wonderful day. I hope the sunshine comes out, because this has been bleak for about 2 weeks. No sun, gray skies. All right, guys, have a great day. Talk to you tomorrow.